Hello everyone and welcome to this live product demo meets Fireside chat. Working title, it is our first of this format, so please bear with us. My name's Chris. For those that don't know me, I'm in the content and marketing team, and I'm joined very graciously by two members of our product team, Mr. Howie Mann, VP of Product. Hey Howie. And our senior data scientist, Mr. David Waterworth. Thanks for joining us both. So today we're talking about a new initiative, something that the team have been working on behind the scenes, and it's all around AI. So AI is obviously a concept and a theme that all of us are increasingly very familiar with in our personal lives and our professional lives. But one thing that some people might not realize is that here at CIM, it has been part of our DNA for many years. So we've been applying various streams of AI for quite some time. And today we're actually going to give you a bit of a sneak peek into some of the work that the team's been working on behind the scenes in terms of a new form of AI that they're essentially going to apply to our offering. So in terms of how it's going to work, I'll hand over to Howie and Dave shortly to share some slides. Then Howie will get stuck into a very exciting live demo. And then we'll finish with a bit of a Q&A to dive a bit deeper into some of the detail. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Howie.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Yes, very excited to be here today. As Chris mentioned, we're an AI building analytics company focused on automating building performance. And it's technology we've basically invested and built in for the last 10 years. Today, we're going to go and show you how we use AI today, right now, where we're heading with AI in the next horizon with AI agents. And most fun, we're going to be doing a live interactive demo of the first research prototype we've actually developed. At CIM, for us, everything is about working backwards from the problem. We always start with the problem. And when we think about automating building performance and improving building performance, it's all about the outcomes, about improving energy, comfort, and uptime. That's where we start, and then we work backwards from the problem to understand what needs fixing, then finding the data, and most importantly, making that actionable. And that's the mindset behind everything, all the features, everything we've invested in at CIM, and that's no different in terms of how we're looking at the future for AI agents as well. So how do we actually turn raw data into trusted action? Our AI native platform called Peak works across 4 key pillars. Firstly, we collect the data. Our LLM, Warpseed, which Dave will go into, makes messy real-time data trustworthy. That's the foundation of everything that we do. Then we use our rules engine in the automation pillar to run billions of automated checks so that people don't have to do that. And then in the act and accountable pillar, we make sure the right issue goes to the right person, and we ensure that benchmarking ensures that there's follow-through. It's AI-powered, built for the people who run buildings and are also ultimately responsible for building performance.
Thanks, Howie. So Warpspeed is our LLM. As Howie mentioned, building data is a real mess. We've got thousands of points that are labelled inconsistently in a building. We have to map them internally to our internal ontology so that we can draw insights from the data. So in order to do that, we trained our own LLM. We trained it on 20 million sensor points, mapping to internal ontology names. It's a 109 million parameter model, and it's been validated by our engineers to ensure that it is accurate and decreases onboarding time significantly.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard the old adage, like garbage in, garbage out. This is really the foundation of making automation and AI work, is ensuring that the data that we're capturing has semantic meaning. It's incredibly important. And the challenge here is just the sheer volume of machine data that we have to ingest to come with these analyses and insights is a huge challenge. So the next phase of that is really taking that data and putting that into our AI rules engine. Dave, you want to talk through how that works?
So our AI rules engine encodes the expert knowledge of our mechatronic engineers into a system that performs billions of checks across equipment over our customers' portfolios. It detects, triages, and sends issues to the right people at the right time. Every rule is visible, tunable, and the AI works like an expert engineer monitoring the buildings continuously.
Awesome. So a lot of secret sauce that goes into making that work. Now, everything we've seen today and developed today over the last 10 years at CIM has been about automation. Collecting, analyzing, acting, and benchmarking data at global scale. Now, the next horizon, which is really exciting for us, is moving from automation to reasoning. And we're achieving that through AI agents. And that means giving our automation context. being able to understand priorities, trade-offs, and different objectives. Now, that's really the big idea that we have exploring purpose-built AI agents you can delegate jobs to. What we're exploring is the idea of imagine a world of 3 agents. Imagine an analyst agent whose job is to analyze and surface what's changing across your sites. A compliance agent whose job is to ensure people are fixing what's broken, following up on tasks. And ultimately an optimization agent who can take control of making improvements and changes and programming strategies that don't need a human to go and physically fix, that can be done remotely, continuously coming in and improving building performance. Now, ultimately, what's most important, as Dave alluded to in terms of the AI that we have right now, is that each AI agent builds on the same foundation of what makes a great agent. And that includes 3 things: trusted data, reasoning, and safe action. And what's most exciting is we also envision a world where the AI agents can come and work together. So imagine a compliance agent whose job is to follow up with people who are fixing the jobs on unresolved tasks, but then also independently engaging with the compliance agent for help to understand further systems, understand what the cause is, and being able to share that information with the people who run the building. So it's a very, very exciting future that we're actually seeing. But most importantly, let's get into the live demo. So this is our first AI agent in prototype. It's connected to real data. The agent goes through and analyzes all equipment performance data across the sites that are using Peak, compares sites, and is also able to draft clear update right in the tools you already use. So without further ado, let's now jump right in and actually demo time. So this is a screen that you're all probably quite familiar with. This is ChatGPT. We're using the latest 5.1 model, and we've created our first CIM AI analyst agent as a prototype. It's as an MCP server. So this is all still very early access, but you can see that what we envisage is to make it as easy as being able to select your agent as a data source in whichever LLM you're currently using. So we can select CIM analyst agent here. We'll give it a prompt and system to basically ensure that it has the context of what we're trying to achieve. And we're looking at improving that over time so that each person can have their own custom context of how they want their analyst to be working for them. And now we can basically get primed and start speaking directly with our analyst. So in this example, we want to understand what's going wrong across our sites. So what's getting worse across?
Wow, so you can essentially use natural language as if you're talking to a real person?
Yeah, completely. And as we all expect, my spelling is absolutely terrible. So we'll have really bad, we'll have no issues across that. So to be safe, we come through and authorize access to our database the first time we run the query. So you have to give it permission to speak to the data set. You can see here it's now, the agent is now live communicating with the database, looking for the data, understanding the context of the questions we're actually asking. It's calling multiple tools across the MCP server. And this is something we do once. And let's see what our analyst comes back with. Great, so our analyst has come back, done the analysis. We can see the history of the reasoning that it's actually gone through as well. So we're not making a black box. We're trying to keep it as transparent as possible. And it's come through and given us a report of the worst performing areas that we need to focus on across our entire portfolio. So these are real sites, real data, and we can see directly at the top here, these are the sites and categories of issues that we're seeing decline in equipment performance. So this means we don't have to go through, look at individual trends. We don't have to look at individual alerts. We can use natural language and context to make sure that this agent is helpful for us. And in this particular context example, we've asked it to help us as the role of a head of operations to go through, look across all my sites and flag for me what are the things that require my attention. And here we can see at the top of the list, we can see 3 areas of car park exhaust fans not running overnight. Car park exhaust fans running overnight, chillers failing, and we can see the current score, baseline, and trends over time.
So where it says view alerts, are they linked back to the Peak platform?
Yes, so this is really exciting. We've basically developed our agent to have the two-way conversation directly integrating with the application. So we can click here, and it's all about actionable intelligence. And this is really important. So we can come immediately inside the platform from the LLM and look at the underlying raw trend data. So we can see here that this is a live real-time issue. We can look at the trend data of this issue, and we can see someone has left this car park exhaust fan running overnight, and it's running full blast 24/7. So major energy waste here. Being able to surface this through natural language and pull it all in is really powerful, and they can come through the platform directly here and assign that as an action to somebody.
Very cool.
Very cool. So we can also drill down even lower. So we can see there's all this information and context, a lot of information. Again, let's do some more natural language here. So let's just go drill down into overnight operation for, we've never done this before. Let's see. There's different types of equipment and areas, not just on the car park exhaust fan, but it's also flagged an issue on the first AHU, which we can drill into. Again, very exciting unassigned issue that's been sitting here, and we can look at it at the underlying trends. And again, something been left running overnight. So surfacing this, not requiring any technical knowledge, a head of operations can come directly through here with a summary of the findings. So what's really powerful about this is because we are now in the existing workflow of the LLM tools, we can give it context and help it with tasks and make it more useful. So let's say as a head of operations, we now want to surface this as an attention point to our site teams. So we can say, great, summarize this table in an email for me to my site teams to focus on this week and include links to the platform for each of them as well. Thank you.
That's awesome. Done. There's the email.
Great. That's the email. No hallucinations, real equipment, real links that will work for them to be sent. And we can make it more concise. We can reduce it. But that's it. So very, very exciting times for us.
Amazing. Love it. Blown away. So this is awesome, Howie. But I'm kind of anticipating a question that we might get, and that's around some of the risks and how you might look to mitigate them or how you've already looked to do so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. We've gone through this cycle developing these AI tools. The first one is more about, this is not working, it's not very helpful. And then we kind of crossed a few barriers with real major advances in technology and giving it the right data where not only is this useful, this can be completely game-changing in terms of how we rethink workflows and give access to people with different data. So that very quickly forced us to think, oh my God, how can we make sure that we build this safely and reliably? So we've already started thinking about that early on, and we'll kind of go through some of those areas. So obviously, as I said, we're very excited about the possibilities with AI agents, but this is still very much bleeding edge technology, and we're also very disciplined about how we introduce a lot of this research and all this development before we start putting this into the product. So there are already 3 key risk areas that we're managing early on. That's security, accuracy, and safety. In the security area, all our prototypes currently that we're building with the AI Analyst Agent and all the other ones that we'll be looking at doing more research on is running a sandbox, non-personal identifiable information, read-only data. We're only giving access to the data to enterprise LLMs, and where none of the data is being used for machine learning and training purposes. That's really important. In terms of future steps that we'll be actually taking before we actually give access to this to external users is giving more role-based access, control and audit logging, so access that they already have with the heightened privileges and permissions, only those people who have access to them for that. The second one really is about accuracy and hallucination. This is a big one. To be able to, for this to be useful, you can't hallucinate. As we've all seen with all these AI agents and LLMs, they have a tendency to just completely make things up. Because at its core, they're not really intelligence machines. They're really just statistical models. But so for the power for us is as long as we feed it really, really accurate data, we validate that data, then we can significantly reduce that level of hallucination. You saw a glimpse of that by us linking into the actual platform, doing that verification, making sure that when we are giving a recommendation that that equipment exists, that issue is real, and we can point to the actual data that's behind it. In future, we're looking at introducing knowledge bases using RAG and vector databases that we can give it more context and training to be able to do those guardrails. But importantly for us, this is where a lot of our R&D is going to be going into, is ensuring that we have a human validation layer as well, so that we can ensure that we have high precision and accuracy. We've already seen big improvements from doing that early. The third piece is really probably the most important, is about safe action. The biggest difference between AI agents and any type of machine learning model is that agents have the ability to take action. And as soon as we start delegating jobs and responsibilities to these agents, they can take very, very harmful actions. So it's important for us at the very beginning with our analyst agent, we are focusing first on the most safe action, which is summarizing information, and then potentially sending an email to trusted sources. all tasks going forward will require human approval. So you can imagine in future we have a compliance agent who is actually coming in and following up people. We would very much limit the scope of what that agent is able to do. Only give it the ability to add comments or follow things up. And in future we want to add more guardrails and kill switches to make sure that we don't have a Skynet situation where these AI agents we start creating as our slaves become the masters. So our principle is really simple in terms of everything that we developed is about innovating fast, deploying safely, and most importantly is making the AI and every tool that we're building actionable and useful for people.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, it's good to know that, and I think it'll give everyone that eventually uses this some peace of mind to know that you've already kind of thought these through in terms of what the risks are and how to mitigate them. Super exciting. I think I probably speak for everyone that sees this. The potential and the opportunity here, I think, is huge. So let's dive a bit deeper into some of the detail. I'm going to ask you guys some questions, some quick fire questions, and we'll go from there. So in terms of, obviously a lot of work's been done already to get it to this point. What still needs to be done, do you think, in terms of technical setup before we can kind of bring this to a broader audience?
So I guess the main thing is the immaturity of the tool set makes these things hard to implement. There's three main components, and there's the LLM itself, there's the client, which you're chatting through, and there's the MCP server we implemented to do the analytics. Hooking those up is quite hard. Every vendor has slightly different requirements on how to integrate them. So building them all into a single agent that you can deploy on a single platform is quite a lot of work. And so we have to learn how to do that and build a single agent that you can package up and deploy easily to multiple users.
Right. In terms of next steps, and do you have some idea as to how this might roll out and what the sequencing might be?
Yeah, I mean, for us, this is kind of uncharted waters here. I think a lot of people have been using a lot of AI tools. Start out great for a good demo, but aren't really useful kind of going forward. So we always try and solve problems as much as we can. We try and dog food the product as much as we can. So the first stage here is to engage a limited audience internally to start using the AI agent for the work that we're already doing. So we want to make sure that we are really testing this internally for teams at CIM who are already responsible for automating building performance and working with site teams. So that's phase one, is really now releasing this to an internal beta, fine-tuning it, improving it, making sure that it's not hallucinating, has the right accuracy, has the safe actions. And then at that stage, we'll work on further development to introduce it to a limited beta to external users to start accessing this information. Right. It's kind of general steps of how we do most of our product development.
Okay. Yeah, I like this idea of kind of using this concept of dog feeding. So kind of using the internal engineers to fine tune it before bringing it to a broader audience. You've identified these three agents. What was the thought process in terms of selecting those three and in that kind of order of priority?
So again, everything we do is we work backwards towards the problem. And these are problems that we have, that we experience. The first one is finding problems that are wrong with equipment through just huge volumes of noise and dynamic systems is a hard challenge. We've been already working on that through our rules engine, through alerting, through a lot of powerful features, through live data and automation and scoring. This is just a natural extension of that. It's just changing that workflow. The second piece is finding the issue is not enough. You still have to fix it. And fixing that often relies on the carrot, the stick, sometimes the tambourine. Right, so that's how we came up with the idea of compliance agent, because we experience it a lot. We have a lot of our users and customers experience it. It's easy to find out that we just showed in the demo example that car park exhaust fan's been running overnight. We know exactly when it happened. We know what caused it. We know exactly what needs to be done to solve it. But someone still has to actually do it. Someone still has to physically go and drive on site, find time, find parking, and actually fix it. So the compliance agent helping and making sure it's following up, and then also patting them on the back for it, that work as well. Optimization agent is really that future state, is that some things do not require someone to physically go and fix. That can be done programmatically. But doing that safely can have huge impact on the natural environment. So that's kind of where we're looking at it. But really the technology is agnostic. It can be kind of for anything. and we will be exploring other agents. And we're most excited about just getting this out early on with our first analyst agent and seeing where the problems are and where it takes us, either internally or even from external customers as well.
Yeah, awesome. And in terms of use cases, I'm just kind of thinking about a number of different use cases that this could open up. Are there any use cases that you've kind of thought of as part of this that have surprised you, that potentially could add a huge amount of value?
So just on the first analyst agent that we've developed, we found that one thing it does really well that existing workflows don't do is verifying what's working, not just looking at what's bad, but comparing what's bad to other systems and also to other areas. So that's without any extra training it's been able to do. So in the example that we did with the overnight operation in the car park, it's able to, through natural language, go look at other areas in the system, see if anything else could be potentially causing this. And because these LLMs take advantage of the huge corpus of the internet that they've already been trained on, they already come with a lot of that predefined knowledge. So it's kind of an exciting experience. Every time we use it, we find we're using it for a use case that we never intended for in the first place.
Right. That's so cool. And I feel like the more you fine tune it, the more kind of use cases will reveal themselves. So maybe turning to you, Dave, I'm sure everyone is super interested to know, you're obviously the brains behind this. What were some of the technical challenges that you might have kind of had to overcome to get it to this point?
So the main challenge was integrating the MCP server into the platform we used. Every different MCP host exposes MCP servers in slightly different ways. This is all bleeding edge technology. The MCP standard hasn't been around that long. The libraries that you use to implement it haven't been around that long. The clients that are talking to it are still evolving. So every time I tried to change which host I used or which model I used, I'd find that I'd have to spend quite a bit of time trying to work out how to hook them up. Right. So it's the integration and the deployment, which is the biggest challenge at the moment.
Got it. Great. So we often talk about this concept of an aha moment here at CIM. So going through this process to get it to this point, what's been the biggest aha moment for you, Howie? And then might hand over to you, Dave, to get your thought.
It's kind of, for me, it's obvious in hindsight, and we say it a lot, which is, garbage in, garbage out. And by limiting the scope of it and making sure that you trust the data that you're giving it, and the answer is in the data set, you just can't find it and you don't know how to ask it, that improved the accuracy and intelligence and usefulness of this by like 1,000-fold. I think a lot of the teams, we've been playing around this when it first came out. ChatGPT has been around for 3 years. We've been trying to do a lot of things, but it's just been, without giving it really kind of good data, that foundation layer, it's just spits out gibberish and it's unuseful.
Very awesome. What about you, Dave? Any kind of major aha moment?
The first one was probably that it works.
Yeah.
I've been looking at this stuff for a while, and it always looks cool and always appears to work, but then it never quite gets there.
Right.
It seems to be getting closer now.
Yeah, awesome.
And the other one would be that if you build a semantic layer over your data, then it works a lot better. You can control the model to a much better degree.
Yeah, good stuff. Who do you foresee being maybe gaining the most value from it? Is it the technical persona? Is it the non-technical persona? Which persona or user do you think is going to kind of really benefit from this?
I think both.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize for the non-technical persona is that this kind of covers a bunch of hurdles, right? Because you're already in the existing LLM environment, if you don't understand something, you can just ask it a question. But you don't have to know the syntax, the structure of what's going on. You can use your own language, like we just demonstrated. Just tell me what I need to focus on, and it can explain that, and you can give it its own context and meaning. For technical users, even more so, because it allows you to kind of drill in and look at the things that you want to. So it's kind of very powerful in that respect. It's kind of what Dave mentioned. Like, this is evolving very rapidly, and we're seeing the technology get better and better and better. Mostly it's around the infrastructure and the compute. So the LLMs, there's really only going to be a handful of 3 players who are going to be building these mega LLMs that are going to be powering everything in the world. And being able to plug into that's going to be important. Just like a crazy stat, right? Since ChatGPT was released, hundreds of billions of dollars have been spent on training AI LLMs. I think on NVIDIA alone, over $250 billion just in the last 3 years has been spent just on NVIDIA chips.
Wow.
Not anything else. And I saw a report, Morgan Stanley forecasts that just spending on AI data centers in the next 3 years is going to reach $3 trillion.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are talking about AI bubble boom, but one thing that is true is that training these things are incredibly useful. This infrastructure is going to be useful. And we're seeing this just get more powerful day after day after day. Like it's just the exponential growth. This is the new industrial revolution that we're actually seeing. And we're seeing it live, I guess, on the front lines. That this wasn't useful 12 months ago, and it's rapidly changing. So I'm very, very excited to see kind of what happens in the next 6 months. But underpinning it all, as we mentioned before in the aha moment, is that you need that good data. Without the good data, it's just completely useful. That's the only universal truth.
Yeah. So Dave, maybe just building on that, what is it about the structured data that is so important?
So one way of doing this would be to simply hook the LLM up to your corporate database and let it go wild. Now, there's obvious security and governance issues with that, but secondary is the model just doesn't know, is a client in one table the same as a customer in another? Things like that. And so what a semantic layer does is it provides that additional business context that the model needs to, in order to actually answer your question correctly, rather than just going out to this existing knowledge base and making something up because it doesn't have that rich context of how your business works, how things relate, how you label things.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining me. This was a huge eye opener for me, and I think I probably speak for everyone when I say that I see this having huge potential and huge opportunity for us. I think AI has maybe become a bit of a buzzword, but I think this just shows that there are applications that do genuinely deliver value, and this certainly will. So thank you guys so much for joining, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Cheers.